What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what just came out associated to the company, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So right now it is down 3.42%. 35.2 million shares have been traded. 108 is the average. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So similar to what I've mentioned over the last several videos, just big money isn't really looking at SoundHound as much as they once were. So it's not that big of a momentum play anymore. So I feel like anyone getting into SoundHound right now is to do more so with a short squeeze component or just with it being a AI play. So I think the momentum has kind of died somewhat. So I'm going to talk on the technicals and everything else. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool though. This exchange is very popular today, and this is where in essence shorts are kind of hiding a lot of their shares. So right now shorts are returning 593,000 shares. 14.39% of the free float is being shorted. Utilization is 99.77%. And then looking at cost to borrow average is 98.05%. So a little bit lower in comparison to Friday, but nonetheless, by shorts returning some shares, that should be adding some buying pressure, but it's not really doing all that much to the price. So essentially, this is where shorts are really hiding a lot of their shares through the dark pool. Kind of sketchy stuff, but this is the stock market, unfortunately, and that's what does happen. There was some news that did come out this morning. It's more of a regurgitation from their previous PR, but it looks like Stellantis is going to be starting to deliver vehicles this month, as was kind of states right here, with SoundHound's new AI voice assistants. And so I think that's a fairly good thing. And hopefully if this is a good success, then this could piggyback into other automakers. And once it gets into one of the big OEMs, then that's like game over. Like this is going to be huge for SoundHound. So this is where a lot of people are kind of hedging and buying with future optimism associated to just more and more integration. So I think this is a fairly good thing. Aside from that though, there's a couple other things coming out. So Cramer recently did speak on SoundHound. So he does say, some people say I killed SoundHound because at $9 I said I wouldn't buy it. So I don't mean to kill it, but at $6 I won't buy it either. And so this is unfortunately what's causing a lot of disruption. At the same time, you did recently have some analyst ratings that weren't all that good. And plus, based off of this, so you did have another 144 form that came out Friday, March 22nd. And I know I bring this up every video, and that's because they fucking keep doing it. It's so fucking it's so stupid, like insane. And for some of you who do say that they are selling for tax purposes, that is a complete lie. I have seen some people say in the comments that it's for tax purposes. That is very, very wrong. So these are all the sales that have occurred by insiders. Crazy stuff. And so ultimately that's not the best. And plus, while I'm on here, this is that latest analyst rating that caused a lot of disruption as well. So a sell rating, Brett with Cantor Fitzgerald, $4.90 price target. So once again, this definitely is not good. And just while I'm actually on here, you can kind of see the 144s do not have any of those notes that would kind of show they're for tax purposes. And the Form 4s that have been coming out, just so you guys can kind of see it. So this is the latest one right here at this section right here. So this is where you add the notes saying it's for tax purposes or whatever else. So if someone would like to kindly explain to me where in this kind of explanation it does say it's for taxes, that's I don't know. And plus, also on a side note, taxes is a different code, transaction code. So S is just a straight up sale. So again, I think just a lot of people don't understand this and maybe are just talking out of their ass. But this is one thing that has really pissed me off ever since I started covering this company, is the fucking insiders. It is just mind boggling why they are selling, because they kind of did kill the momentum. If institutions constantly see all of this selling, they kind of show it's like, well, insiders feel like it's not really worth it, so why should we buy it? So all in all, that's kind of just, everything is just snowballing right now. Cramer's not really helping, the analyst rating. And plus in SoundHound's case, the technicals has played a very big part in its kind of upward momentum, and so far it's down. So I'll go over that in a second, but right now looking at options, so $1.46 million in puts and then $2.85 million in calls. Sentiment wise, 54% of all the options being done so far are bearish, and of the call options that are being purchased, you can kind of see a consensus for it to be above 750 by the end of this week. So you do see a lot of optimism. Then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be below 550. So in my opinion, the risk versus reward is very much in the positive. So a lot of people are anticipating a lot of upside when it comes down to SoundHound. And like I've said, when I go over the technicals, they have played a very key role in SoundHound's upward momentum, downward momentum. So with it closing, or it has a kind of low right now of $5.68, it did bounce off of this pivot point. So $5.65 is a very big transition. If it does break below that, then yes, this is where you'll see kind of the lows between the S1 and the pivot, but it did bounce off of that. And in fact, it bounced off of that twice today, that general area. So we do know that's a very strong support. And so I think overall that should be a fairly good thing for a nice value rally of sort for it to continue to trend up. I don't feel this time around, unless they put out some other substantial news and just insiders just stop fucking selling, then yes, it could easily get above this R1. But if they keep selling and everything else, then yes, it will not unfortunately break above this R1. So right now, looking on the actual chart, it is wanting to transition from the lower to the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. You do see a nice bullish deviation, so white line above the red, and plus it is at 34. So because of this recent downtrend, it has reset the technical. So overall, that is a good sign. So probably you should see a kind of a bump up in institutional buying, and plus this is the last week in the end of the quarter, so usually you do see a lot of institutions rebalancing their portfolios. So you should see institutions starting to re-enter back into SoundHound this week, despite Jim Cramer saying that right now it isn't a buy. Number of retail investors have been buying the dip for the last little bit, so of course that is a generally a fairly good thing. So all in all, I feel like the technicals are somewhat bearish, but with a hint of optimism, again dependent on news coming out, as well as insiders just closing their damn wallets and stop selling. And if anything, if one of them was to buy, that would be massive. That would be, even if it was a small amount, just 10,000 shares or whatever else, that would be massive for the stock price. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What's your overall thoughts, for instance, on insider selling? What's your thoughts on Jim Cramer, as well as what is your thoughts, for instance, on this news? Do you think it is as big as maybe I am thinking it's going to be, or do you think that this is just going to get brushed under the rug? What's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, make sure you guys take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, so take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.